morning again. Welcome to our discussion segment. And good morning, Anambra, today. How are you? I'm happy you've joined us. Okay, my name is Sijama. Ebere is here with me. Good morning, Ebere.
Yeah, good morning, IG. How are you doing?
I'm good.
I say you're looking very, very bright this morning. Your choice, your color and choice combination is amazing.
Ah.
Very amazing.
All right, thank you. I don't want to blush. It's too early to start blushing this morning. Thank you very much. It's Thursday anyway, so once the week rolls to Thursday, I start getting excited.
Yeah, we can't wait for Friday.
Okay, so where do we go?
Well, we're going to be discussing something very important this morning. Of course, Nigeria, a lot of people have been complaining about the country, the economy, and it looks as if nothing is working. Nigerians is known for, so much dependence on oil and all of that. But there are other sectors in the country where we can, explore, where we can, delve into and see if we can, make the country a better place. Because this idea of everybody believing or tilting towards the oil sector, probably a time is coming when this oil won't be there again. Then where would this leave the citizens of Nigeria? And that, brings us to the topic of discussion today, where we'll be looking critically at developing Anambra's fishery and aquaculture sector for economic transformation. IJ.
A very big one indeed, because recently, let's say from the past government that we had, there's this encouragement for us to get back to the farmlands, especially with the Uba zone of thing, which has led to so many areas of agricultural production.
Yeah.
People didn't just end in planting maybe vegetables behind their houses. They have started, they ventured into aquaculture, poultry, and a whole lot of things. And if you ask me, I think it's making a very big impact now, because when you go to the market, every time you see chicken, you see fish, you see a whole lot of things around. That is what we have been able to do to ourselves as we keyed into the agricultural sector of the state government. So that's why we want to look at a very critical area now, which is fish. It's a protein that you cannot run away with it. It's either you are, if you don't have fish in the house, you have crayfish and a whole lot of things. They're all in the same category. And then we have dragged the man who should know to our studio this morning to tell us more. He is Emeka Ilogalo, Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, Anambra State Fisheries and Aquaculture Business Development Agency, FABDA. Good morning, Emmy.
Good morning, Joma. Good morning. Good morning, viewers.
It's good to have you here. Quite a long time.
Yeah, it's been some time, and we've done a lot since then.
Oh yeah, you became too busy, so we allow you to settle down.
Well, yeah, we have some things to show for that.
All right, you're welcome.
Grateful.
So now you have had our introduction. So where do we go from here, considering the area you are covering? I think it's about 3-4 years now that
this is the fourth year.
Okay, the fourth year.
Yeah.
So,
but then, fourth year as the driving the agency. But then we've been in this coordination for about 8 years, because there was the first 4 years that we worked together as stakeholders and actors in the value chain of fisheries and aquaculture in Anambra State. And the past 4 years, we got into the milestone of having the Fisheries and Aquaculture Business Development Agency. And, it's like a milestone. So we first of all had to gather the stakeholders, and then we began to coordinate the economy, the value chain, build to, have synchro in our activities in the value chain to be able to have the economy face a certain direction. Then the creation of the Fisheries and Aquaculture Business Development Agency came at a time that needed to be institutionalization of the efforts we've made in the previous 4 years. So, and again, the agency is about 4 years now. It's in the 4th year, and we have done so much in, having every actor in the fisheries and aquaculture value chain operating in certain ways as that, in such a way as being very clearly conscious of everyone's role.
Okay, let's look at the value chain first, so that our people will understand what we mean when we say value chain. What are the value chains in this fishery and aquaculture?
Okay, good. Fisheries and aquaculture is one value chain. We have the value chain around this singular commodity, fisheries and aquaculture. Now, simply because there is this misconception or misuse of the term value chain by many people because they don't understand there's ignorance and all that. So value chain simply means values that are chained together, that are interlinked. And value means something that is of worth. So something you can exchange with another thing that is of worth. In this case, money. So anything that you can pay money to get is of value. And looking at fisheries and aquaculture, you see, we have several commodities, products, services in the value chain. And examples of these are logistics, talking about services. You look at fingerlings production, which is input, seed fish. So it's a business of its own. You look at the fish feed, it's a business of its own. You look at the actual table fish. What we call table fish is what you call point and kill today, fish that you can take on the table.
Catfish.
So it has its value. So if you go to the market, you want to buy fish. You can buy table fish as point and kill. You can buy dry fish. Dried fish or smoked fish or processed fish is also of another value. Then you can buy seed fish if you want to grow fish. You can buy fish feed. So these are values in the fisheries and aquaculture value chain or sector, subsector. Now, these values are interlinked in a certain way. So that's why it's chain. Now, you cannot have table fish without having seed fish that has been fed to grow and become table fish. You cannot have processed fish, smoked fish, for example, canned fish, for example, fish meal, for example. You cannot have that without a grown fish. So the chain in the values is basically what we call value chain. So these are distinct activities, business and economic activities, that necessarily are interlinked. So our job,
one person manage all the chains?
That is what we have done in having FABDA, Fisheries and Aquaculture Business Development Agency, in Anambra State. We are the first in the country, and
really?
Still, yes, just then. So the idea is to be able to institutionalize this coordination. Our basic mandate is to reposition the fisheries and aquaculture economy for governance, for regulation, for productivity, and for growth. I just explained the value chain now, what it means. You see, for the value chain to operate in a harmonious and synchronous way, there has to be governance, there has to be regulation, there has to be coordination, and then again, productivity has to be driven, and then for us to grow. So without an entity or a government institution or a third party to be able to coordinate all, it is left in disarray.
I was going to ask you, ever since this agency was created, and of course we've seen the importance of what the fishery and aquaculture, the importance it brings to a state, the country, and the world at large. How would you say Anambra State has fared ever since the creation of this agency?
Very good. Anambra State now, before we started this effort, Anambra State's actors in the value chain had been looking at this fish business as fish farming. So you see somebody say he's a fish farmer, and then you come to the location of the fish farm. You see the same entity, the same individual. He doesn't even think about having a business, registered and running it as a business. He prides himself as a fish farmer or herself as fish farmer, and then he's making his feed. He's making his seed fish, fingerlings. He's growing out his fish. He's drying the fish. He's selling the dry fish. He's selling fingerlings. He's selling table fish. And you see such people trapped in a vicious cycle. There is no economic, in fact, they are in an economic trap. They will never be able to make good money. You will never see a millionaire from the, fish business, fish farming thing that we're talking about. Whatever gains he makes in one, he cancels in the other one, because each of these segments in the value chain or these business units have their turnaround time, have their peculiarities, have their peculiar procedures and protocols. So, and then one entity and one person is running everything all together. So what happens?
Because I wanted to ask, I don't understand that turnaround time and the peculiarities you're talking about. A man decides to start the fishery business, and he's probably doing all he can to make money. Why do you feel you can make a millionaire out of such business?
Very good. Now, you see, let's take fingerlings production as an example. You have the fish egg. Once it hatches, it takes about 3 to 4 weeks, or 4 to 5 weeks, a range of weeks, to become fingerlings, where you can stock it to now start another process of growing it out to become big table fish. Now, you see a period of 4 to 5, 6 weeks for producing fingerling. Now, the fingerling that a person or an entity or a farm produces, a fish can give you about between 10,000 to 120,000 for one production. And then the ponds he has can only take 5,000 fish. So he takes 5,000 and stocks. The other one he struggles to sell while he's trying to grow the table fish. The table fish is not well attended to. The sales of the fingerling is not done efficiently. And then he's going into the activity of producing his own feed. And the feed production requires a lot of condiments, raw materials to be assembled together and mixed together, and
Okay, in that case, so, what is the economic projection of this fishery and aquaculture for Anambra State?
Okay, now in Anambra State,
that's as a state government, what do they, intend to achieve, economically as it concerns fishery and aquaculture?
Yeah, we have scoped the potential revenue volumes for each of these segments, considering that each of these segments have been aligned for actors or business people to invest, in a streamlined way, because there is this understanding, and it's everywhere. The power of focus and concentration, cannot be contested. If you focus on one activity, you're going to get a lot of results, as against when you focus on multiple activities at the same time. So now our actors are focusing on either fingerling production or table fish production and all that. Going large scale is another ball game.
Yeah, but that's why I asked, well, how does it translate to money for the states?
Yeah, along each of these segments, we've been able to project what we have to, our potentials rather, the volume of money that we'll be able to get in each of these segments. For example, the table fish production, we've projected we'll be able to do about 7 billion naira per annum. Then in merchandise, logistics, sales and all that, we projected we'll do some tens of billions.
So how far so far?
How far so far is, remember I told you, the agency is tracking data. We will be able to drive our vision and objective, our targets, better and more efficiently with data handle. So we've built up a database of over 2,000 fish businesses.
In the state?
In the state, yeah. We're profiling them, aligning them where they operate. So, and it's a whole lot of job. And I can tell you, if you come to our office, you see the results. It's an ongoing work, and it will continue, by the way. So once we get to a stable situation, the data will have to be updated, and whoever takes over from me...
These things you have mentioned, are they individually based? They are owned by individuals or owned by governments?
No, it's not owned by government. Remember, we're not talking about government going to do these businesses. We're talking about government
encouraging people that are already
yes,
in it.
because the job of government...
is that what you call the fish villages, or what do you call it?
Yeah.
The production villages or whatever.
Okay, that takes us to this important project that, that was designed, conceptualized by the agency and the state government, by the way, to be able to hold all the actors together and have the business going continuously. Now, we conceptualize this project of having infrastructure to be able to facilitate continuous fish production so that all the segments in the value chain will be automatically connected and continue business without break. So, and this project is called the Fish Production Village Business Franchise. So we made it in such a way that a 3-hectare land will have minimum of 600 ponds. It's the same thing that when you hear cluster, it's the same concept.
Is it on ground already?
Yes, we have.
Where do we have
We
this?
have in Aguleri for the Anambra North. We have in Adazinuku for Anambra Central. We also have Okija, for Anambra South. These communities donated these lands for this project. The project is ongoing. Now, remember, the creation of this project has the main objective is to solve the bottleneck challenge, the bottleneck in the value chain, so that we can have continuous production of fish. And that is how we will continue to have, check our growth and continue. So the projects are ongoing right now. Yes, and
let's look at the fishery and aquaculture business in Anambra State. The social struggle with this business, or the social struggle with the fact that this business or this agency should be yielding positively when it comes to the economic, situation of the state. So, what are those things that will be making this fishery and aquaculture business a big issue in the state?
Well, yeah, it might appear intangible, but it is a very, very important element, success element. The fact that we, number one, have an institution where any fish business owner or investor can go to and get attention is one big achievement for the state. 2, the fact that the actors are focusing and concentrating in specific areas of operation is another very key factor. Then with these two, we as a state can easily say we want to do 100,000 metric tons of fish per annum. So once we set that target, it will not take us months to do. All we need to do is, A, we know where the gaps are. We have investors. We just do investment marketing. And then the new investor that want to come in will say, look, this is where you need to put because we have the gap. Because we have this conveyor already. The business is a going concern. So that's why it's a big issue in Anambra. The fish production village project is a very, it's a unique one. It's that model has not been implemented anywhere in the country, but we're taking the lead. And the situation in the country and the challenges of doing a new thing, we've passed 60% of achieving that.
Let's talk about the regulation of this fish business in Anambra State. Weeks back, I think weeks a month back, going to the market to buy fish was something else. Like, it was quite expensive, unlike what it used to be. You people also, your job description part of regulating these prices and making these fishes available in the markets?
Thank you very much. Price is something we cannot regulate, clearly. But what we can do, and the job of the government, is to create enabling environments, promote enabling environments. And the job of my agency in coordinating includes driving down the prices of fish by tweaking the linkages and the activities of the actors in the value chain. So, for example, now we've started a process of developing a group of investors to produce maggots. Now, you will hear even on the streets that fish feed is a big challenge for fish producers. The prices of fish feed are skyrocketing, and they are driven by the market forces. And we cannot stop them from going just by saying, fix this price, because they have a cost of production. There are dynamics that, affect that. Now, one of the key things that affect the price of feed is that there are some of the key materials that are sourced from outside, like the fish meal. So they will require, foreign exchange to be able to bring in fish meal from outside. And that's why we created the business group to do maggot production. Now, maggot production is a good substitute for the fish meal. When we are able to do large volume maggot production, in this state, we have a major ISO certified fish feed plant. It's a privately owned fish feed company. In the state, in Anambra State here.
Where is it?
It's at Onitsha. We attracted them because of good business environment. It was commissioned in March 2019. And now, with this plant, instead of going for foreign exchange and we supply this important raw material, it's very clear and clean.
That's the maggots?
Yes, the maggots.
Where do you get the maggots?
We are developing the business now. Okay. There are people growing maggots. But they've been doing this on home economics basis. Again, that is one of the merits and importance of having FABDA, an agency like ours. We want to upscale them. We want to get them coordinated and support them to do real maggot production business. And it's a multi-billion naira business. So to do a ton of maggot, you know how little it is? To do a ton of, dehydrated maggot, it's a lots and lots of, money.
So why don't we go for something cheaper, so that is to aid the production, because when you spend so much money in producing the feed for the fishes, automatically the fishes will be very expensive. So is there no local thing that we can use for production of this feed that will make it cheaper for us to get these fishes, because that's the end of the whole thing that we're talking about.
Exactly what I'm saying.
Availability and affordability.
Yes, you're emphasizing what I'm saying. Maggot is produced locally. So it's not going to cost as much as the fish meal that is imported. And it's going to bring down the cost of the feed. That's the point.
Oh, really?
So yes. So if, yeah.
Is it a kind of fish or a feed for the fish?
Okay, maggot is from the fly.
Because so I know when people die, some kind of things and all of that. But is it those kind of maggots?
Yeah, maggot is maggot. Again, you see, when you develop the business of, creating maggots, maggot is the egg of the fly. There is what is called black soldier fly, kind of fly that goes good maggot. Now, this egg hatches and becomes larva and continues to metamorphose. So it goes to pre-pupa. Pre-pupa is the stage of this, the maggot actually. So if you leave it as maggot, it eventually becomes pupa, and then it hatches, it comes out again and becomes fly. So it's a life cycle. So you
don't need the fly, you need the maggot.
Yes, you don't need the fly, you need the maggot. So you make the eggs of the fly to produce a lot of or rather you make the fly to produce a lot of eggs and get them
I
to
hope you're not
hatch.
going to make some of us to stop eating fish.
No,
Please
I'll
don't.
tell you something.
Let's not go
No,
there.
no, let me tell you. It's good
Go ahead.
you brought it up.
Yes, go ahead.
Maggot is fed because if you don't feed it, it's not going to grow. It's fed with fruits.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, in some cultures, they eat maggots as part of the diet. So it's just a cultural thing that you associate it with dead things and
I
all
know that this one that comes from the
Exactly.
palm tree, or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
It's
same.
maggots, and
It's
it's said
same.
around your area.
Your area. it's your community.
It's maggots.
Yeah, it's your
sold in
community,
the American area.
So let's look deeply into the importance of this maggot, because you were trying to link it with the fish, and that if you produce it a lot, there is so much, then it could reduce.
The idea there is that it's produced locally. We have the plant locally. So the economy is cycled here, and that means we're not going to be looking for expensive forex to bring that component of the fish feed that usually makes the cost of the fish feed to be high. So once we succeed in doing this, we have the plant here, we put that there. Now the cost of the fish feed is going to crash. Hopefully, in fact, obviously, not just hopefully, because it's scientific, it's traceable, we understand what will happen. The only job is to build up the volume of maggot that would do that. And again, it's economic gain, because people don't need to maggot.
Is it only maggot that you use in the production?
No, there are several other
Or do you feed the fish directly?
No, people feed fish with maggot today, and that's not what we want to do. Because it's home economics. If you feed maggot directly to fish or poultry, you can't measure what you're doing. And once you don't have a business model, you're not going to go anywhere. You remain in that vicious cycle we're talking about. So we need people to operate like business, as business. And that is the way they can grow. And as they grow, they can be able to pay taxes and all that as they grow.
Yeah, that's where we're going. Okay, go ahead.
If the fish business was such a huge business, what are those because see, let's come down, and face it head on. Nigeria, the country, is going through a lot, especially in the economical aspect. People are complaining, they cannot get food, the currency is not helping matters and all of that, and lots of dependence on oil. If the fish business, with all your explanation and all of that, it was a big business which, if invested into, can really, turn this economic situation of the country around. What are those challenges? Why is nobody looking into it?
Very good question. And it's strange. It's strange. People like consumption, they don't like production. And I don't know why it happened. Well, we can all guess why it's like that. Now, these are trends that if we don't interrogate situations we find, we'll just allow ourselves to follow, to, drift with the tide. So, and this is why you see it's an important situation that Anambra State was able to take the lead and, break the jinx of creating an agency such as ours. And by the way, following what you just said, it's not difficult to understand how important this fisheries and aquaculture economy is. Norway as a country. Norway has about 5 million in population, less than Anambra State. Norway, the number one source of revenue for Norway is fish, not agriculture. Fish. Fish. Now, the next in ranking is oil and gas. Norway has the largest sovereign wealth fund in the world, $1.46 trillion. So it is not difficult to understand the importance of fisheries and aquaculture business development. And this also takes me to something. The Ministry of Agriculture in this country, the way it is structured, has stifled the economy of agriculture. It has tied several things down. We need to unbundle the Ministry of Agriculture.
Is there a relationship between the aquaculture, fishery, and the agricultural, sector in the country? Well, is there a collaboration? Is there a relationship between both of you?
Obviously, fisheries and aquaculture is a commodity, not under agric. It's a commodity in agriculture. when you say under, yes, agriculture is quite broad. You see, you have plants, you have animals.
Yeah.
Now in plants, you have several crops. You have vegetable, you have grains, cereals, you have tubers, roots, and all that, crops, cash crops, plantations, and all that.
Commodities, right?
Yeah, they are commodities.
And then in animals,
animal, you have fishery, you have poultry, you have piggery, you have cow, you have grass cutter, you have several animals. And
So
these are big
fishery is
economic
offshoot of
potential.
agriculture?
Sure, offshoot, of course. No,
Okay.
It's part of agriculture, by the
But
way.
not under it.
Well, whether it's under or above is not.
Why
These
do
are
you
semantics.
why do you
That's
think
no
the
problem.
agriculture sector is not structured in a way to help the economy?
Exactly. Good question. You see, if you look at the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, the full name is Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. And how old is Nigeria? And how old is Ministry of Agriculture in Nigeria? When Ministry of Agriculture was set up, the objective was to open up the rural areas. And so many of those rural areas have been opened up. So where are we today? We need to adjust to current realities. We're still carrying the structure as it were, as it had been decades ago. And that's why you see the Ministry of Agriculture is still handling everything. They have several projects. They touch this one, they don't finish. They touch another, they don't finish. They touch another, they don't finish. And it's not the fault of the people running it today. We need to interrogate this situation. We need to think about it. We need to take a hard look and come back and agree together to decentralize it, to restructure it, even if we don't call it decentralized, to unbundle it. That's the right word. To unbundle it. And Anambra State has taken the lead in this part of the unbundling to create Fisheries and Aquaculture Business Development Agency. And so far, you can see what we have been able to do.
So you don't have any kind of link or relationship with the Ministry of Agriculture here? You're on your own.
In the Ministry of Agriculture, no, we collaborate. No, we don't have any. Yeah. We collaborate, but we don't report to the Ministry of Agriculture by structure, by the way the agency is structured and by law. Because if we do that, we're going back to what we were before, and we'll be stifled. We will not be able to start a project and get it to the end. We'll still have to go back to one, just the way Nigeria is, federal system, and all the regions go lame. They cannot utilize the potentials, the natural, advantages they have.
Okay, talking about advantages now. So what do you think is the dynamic social and economic benefits to the society of all these stakeholders that are involved in fishery and aquaculture? Starting from the production of the feed,
the value chain,
the value chain. Of what importance is it?
Very, 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 very key point here. Now, you see, in the Ministry of Agriculture as it is now, they don't operate with the stakeholders or the actors in the value chain. It's like a pyramid. So it's not participatory. The projects that are being done, the programs that are done in agriculture, it is somebody sitting up, the commissioner, the directors, the government, and then doling out things. Whether the people have opinions or have other ways to do, it's not put into consideration. But what we've done in Fisheries and Aquaculture Agency is that, first of all, from the beginning, we got the stakeholders together, and government is one of the stakeholders, not the overall. So if you come to our office, for example, meetings of the fresh fish sellers hold in our office. Meetings of the dry fish sellers hold in our office. These are just traders. They are not farmers of fish.
How do you get them?
We are in contact. They are the stakeholders, actually.
Okay, so how did you organize this? Because I know if you go to, say, you have a lot of people selling fish, or are you talking about the
We didn't create them. They have been there. So we're doing coordination, and we've made them to have our office as their headquarters, as their base.
Okay, so they have unions.
Yes, they have.
They have unions.
Yes, they have unions and all that. So we co-opted those unions, and we are talking together. There was a time in this state, about 3 years ago or so, the fish farmers, producers of fresh fish, and the sellers of fresh fish had a clash, and it was building up to have erupt, because where they sell fish, they made a chart when they should sell local fish produced in Anambra and when they should sell the fish brought from the outside, from West and so on. And the people revolted and said, why would you bring fish from outside and stop us local producers? And it was like they were going to fight. So then the governor sent a message and, and as it solved this, we had to bring them together. We came to the office and we got the sellers, we got the producers of fish. And in that discussion, a lot came out. The seller said, we have specification for our fish. The fish we bring from the West is hybrid. It doesn't have eggs. And that is what our customers require. You don't produce that. It was because there was no platform for these groups to talk together. That's wants to patronize them deliberately. And we have advanced from that now, presently. We got a lot of our farms here in Anambra that are doing hybrid because they know that's what the market requires.
So in that case, it was lack of communication between, the parties involved.
Exactly, the actors in the value chain, they are all chained together. So if, it's a customer relationship thing. If you have your money, we talked about the defined value. If you have your money, you want to buy value. You don't want to buy anything. You don't want to part with your money with what you don't want. So they produce clearance here that has eggs, and then the people that buy, they say when they cut it and remove the egg, there's no meat.
Finished.
Finished. And they cannot sell. So they don't like that, they go to buy outside. But these people had no opportunity of that effective communication. And they were suffering and said they cannot sell their fish. We don't have enough fish in the country and somebody say you cannot sell. It's strange. So it's when you bring to the round table that everybody understands what's at stake. And it's a challenge in the country, actually at large, not just Anambra.
I was going to ask, you said Norway is about, the fish business is, they're one of the highest, the biggest revenue in that country.
Number one.
The number one revenue in that country. What are they doing right or not doing right? Probably because if that is a big business in Norway, because I know, for instance, here in Anambra State, the nightlife is quite cool, and you see everybody that goes out to one joint or the other is, hey, one fish. The fish business also goes, and a lot of people buy that. What's the one thing Norway is doing, Nigeria is not doing, and we can do? Maybe, just maybe, the fish could also be our number one point of revenue.
Exactly. What Norway has done very successfully is there is a Seafood Council of Norway. Just like Fisheries and Aqua-Culture Business Development Agency at the national level. So it's no sweat. It's simple coordination. Simple coordination. So the Seafood Council of Norway regulates the activities of the fish industry in Norway. So they give exporters quota for fishing. So there's what you call pelagic fish, what you call ice fish here, mackerel and so on. It's pelagic, it's called pelagic fish. They have stockfish, the type we call okporoko.
Yeah.
These are the commodities. Now, what the Seafood Council does is the exporters are part of the Seafood Council. They are the stakeholders we're talking about. Everybody is giving quota. He said, hey, you're going to fish 10 tons of fish in the waters of Norway for this year. And you're giving license. And you don't exceed 10 tons. And it's not just that they give you license. They have gadgets, they have structures to monitor, to follow.
Ask next, this production of fish, why we're not having enough, is it just from the ponds? Are there nothing we do with the rivers, the waters we have around here?
Very good.
So how do you produce fishes from these waters?
Good. We have a lot of water bodies in Anambra State, and none is utilized yet.
Why?
This is, again, very good. This has to do with prioritization. We will not finish everything at once. It's in our view. It's part of our program, and we're coming step by step. Today, we have a long-lasting relationship with Seafood Council of Norway, by the way. Okay. Yeah, we've had about 5 years relationship with them. We've been doing programs with them.
Well, what does he yield there? Do you guys go over there? Do they come over here?
We've been having programs. We go and have programs with them, and then actually we are expecting the ambassador to visit with the Mr. Governor There is that communication already going on. It's going to happen very soon. And this is meant to tie this relationship because we got a lot to learn from them, from their experience. And by the way, it is mutual because we have one of the biggest stockfish markets in Africa at Onitsha here, the stockfish market.
Yes.
Very, very important to their economy.
It is.
So based on bilateral relationship, we have advanced in that discussion. We need to get cage culture. There's what is called cage culture technology. You put cages in natural water bodies and grow fish there. So you don't need to be changing water. The water is, flowing, yes. In fact, if you check YouTube, you will see big fish setups in the oceans, like oil rigs. So when you want to harvest fish, you use a crane and bring out tons and tons, thousands of tons of fish. So now these are things we are working to be able to get from our relationship with Norway, so we can put our water bodies to use. Okay. Yeah. So it's ongoing.
It's ongoing.
Yes, it's in our view. Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at funding.
Okay.
So where do you come in now? Funding the private sector, since you don't have anything on ground on your own. Do you fund the private sectors? I mean, the stakeholders in this production of fishes.
Okay. Good point. Funding is very, very important in business development. And, the fund providers, especially for the loans, and even whatever kind of fund, whether it's grant as well, the fund providers want to have assurance that this fund is going to yield results. You have to have returns. So that confidence is what our role has developed and created for the investors and the actors in the fisheries and aquaculture value chain. Now, before now, anybody going to take loan on fish, even up till now, the CBN keeps complaining that they don't have off-taker for fish, that the fish model is challenging because when you release fund for fish, it tends to disappear. Now, all those stories earlier of people taking money and running away or people diverting money, it has come to a point that everybody realizes it's not about people diverting money or taking money to run away. There is no structured proper business model. I mentioned people doing everything. You bring money and you want to use it to make feed, you want to use the same money to make fingerling, you want to make to table fish, you want to dry fish. You put it in one, when it wants to come out, the other one takes it away. Eventually the money vanishes. So, but if you focus on one, you say you want to produce dried fish, for example. You want to have 1 million. You know what proportion of that million you used to buy the seed, the raw material that you're going to use to dry, and then you know how much you're going to spend on drying. You know how much you're going to spend on your overhead. At the end, you know what your cost of production of smoked fish is, and then you put your markup and you sell. You get your profit. And you can pay back your money. But if you are running smoked fish, you're doing table.
Funding available now? Are they taking it? How is it disbursed? Through your agency?
What we do is that we try to relate with NESAL, CBN, and bring in all this confidence and help our fish people to have business models. Because once you have business model, you don't need us. The bank will do its due diligence and provide funds for you.
They go straight to the bank.
Yeah, sure.
That relationship.
Okay, we've been talking about fisheries and fishes and whatever. So what about the aquaculture there? So
yeah,
what
fisheries and aquaculture, basically, okay, aquaculture.
Are there other things, added to the fish like snails and all those ones?
Yeah, well, if you go back to the definition of aquaculture, it means culturing aquatic organisms. And aquatic organisms include animals and plants, like algae is aquatic organism, and fish is aquatic, reptiles are aquatic, and all that. So now snails as well, mollusk.
Reptiles.
Yes, reptiles. Yes, snake, crocodile, and all that.
Yeah, people who eat all of these things, right?
Yeah, sure. Crocodile meat is very good. And it is.
You eating crocodile?
Farms. There are crocodile farms.
You eating crocodile before? You said the meat is very good.
Yeah, it's very good.
You eaten before?
Yeah.
You eaten before?
Yeah, sure. It's good.
Okay. You eaten before?
Tastes like
Eating
fish.
it without knowing.
It tastes like fish.
It's in the market.
All right,
It's very expensive.
we have to run. Trust me, because time is not a friend. You know,
Oh, yes.
if we leave the MD of Fishery here, you know, we'll just keep talking, and he'll keep educating you about all that has to do with the fish industry. Quickly before we leave, what will be your message, your parting message to the people of Anambra State as regarding fishery and aquaculture? And of course, the state government, the federal government, and everyone involved.
Okay, thank you very much. My parting words will be that, look, there is big money in fisheries and aquaculture. We need to come to FABDA to be able to see where the opportunities are, see where we can take advantage in the fisheries and aquaculture sector. And the government, the present government, you know, already is giving the right focus, because there is something that's been worked out now to justify the existence of Fisheries and Aquaculture Business Development Agency. And at the end, I'm very positive that it will lead to further unbundling the Ministry of Agriculture to be able to be more effective and efficient to our economic development and growth as a state. And this also translates to also human capital development, because once we unbundle and have the economy of the agriculture formations or commodities explode, then people are going to be making money, people are going to be engaged in terms of employment and jobs, you know, and there's several opportunities we keep emerging, you know, in terms of products and services.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have looked at developing Anambra's fishery and aquaculture sector for economic transformation. That's the topic we looked at this morning. And we've been talking with Mr. Emeka Ilogalo. He is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Anambra State Fisheries and Aquaculture Business Development Agency. We'll call it FADA. Okay, thank you very much for coming this morning, Emeka.
Thank you, Jama. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and I've been around with Ebere.
No, we have to move. We have to move. You know, we move. You understand? We're moving, man. This is Thursday, September. The September is almost ending. We've just got a few days, and we're going into a new month.
Are you hungry?
Now, of course, we do breakfast every morning. You should know that we do breakfast every morning. And she just reminded me because she doesn't want to tell you that she does breakfast. But we both do breakfast. So thank you so much for joining us this morning, everyone behind the scene, the producer, the ops director, the camera guys, the floor manager, every one of you. Thank you so much for making this happen. We appreciate it.
Thank you. My name is Sijama Uche.
Bye-bye.